lanes, as we see Effort's Alistair do get banned there. Really strong lanes or a lot of support. It's kind of similar to Olaf in that regard.
Yeah, you know, standalone, it's not going to have as much power, so you need some pieces to go along with it. I really like that Gangplank ban. I think that they give a lot of respect to Khan to actually pick something like this, whereas maybe some other top laners would not feel as comfortable. And the Sion ban is pretty interesting. We did see Sion yesterday, and that leaves Rel available, so a snap pick there from Damwon Kia.
Yeah, Rel's been absolutely crazy in terms of like the big engages that we've seen, but I also feel like while I think the champion is really, really strong, it's also teams not really being as ready for it as they should be. I feel like Rel's engage potential with Flash specifically is really good, but that's, you know, the same as playing around a lot of other engage supports. And I feel like people kind of need to get that. Outside of that though, she's really good in terms of counter engaging. I don't really know of the Nautilus here, because I feel like Rel doesn't mind that matchup at all, right? Like, Rel is really good when you try to engage on the AD carry. Full effort. You're not going to be able to really target a lot of people with your depth chart. Like, Khan can just ult it. Canyon has his E. Ghost is self-explanatory. So, Liiv Sandbox, not a big fan of the Nautilus, even though Nautilus Kaiser is a really classic combination. And Fade going to get the Azir here. I'm not the biggest fan. Oh, yes, please. Please, Barrel.
Fizz top?
No way!
Oh, wait! He's actually doing it! Oh, man, what the hell? This is not a troll. This is not a drill. And we've seen Khan play some weird stuff in the top side. Summit is just, he's laughing. He can't even believe it.
Oh, that's... Okay, so I have no clue whether or not like the Fizz is like some hidden... If someone knows it, it's Khan, right? Like... So let's go into Fizz a little bit, because I think this is going to be the first time in a really long time that he's been played in competitive, because he has not been viable. And if he would have been viable, it would have been in mid lane. Unless you go back to like, you know, like Bruiser, Fizz, and Echo, like of many seasons ago. However, I'm gonna be honest, with a Pantheon, I actually really like the top side here for Damwon Kia, because both of these lanes should have an immense amount of threat. You have the Ignite Teleport, something that we also see on the Camille. You have the immediate lockdown of Pantheon, and the Pantheon stun into a Fizz ult is, you're dead if you're Mininar. And it's not close either.
No, you're gonna have a lot of fun, and that's the interesting question for me. Everybody's gonna have a lot of fun, right? Except maybe the side of Liiv Sandbox, but... You know, they're pulling out this really interesting tech in this matchup, right? You know, he easily, if he had a lot of confidence in this pick, he could have easily saved it for like a game 2 against, you know, some really strong team. But he's like, no, you know, let's give it a shot. It's like Khan is using this pro game to like test out just how good Fizz is. Obviously, he would have practiced it before, but like to see it just slammed down here into Summit's Gnar, I'm really excited to see what he's got prepared.
So there's like two schools of thought, right? Like, either is it better to keep it hidden, or is it better to have your enemies like have to waste a ban on Fizz? Like, say that you absolutely demolish this matchup. It's press the attack, Fizz.
It's ridiculous. So
okay.
Yeah, you know, you see the press the attack, and do you think this could be like harkening back to the old days of like top tank Fizz, or is he gonna go?
I have legitimately like with the auto attack reset, right? Like, press the attack makes a lot of sense in general, and Fizz is of course going to be trying to be in melee range of Summit a lot. But I'm gonna see what happens here, because I gotta be honest, Valdez, I was not prepared for the Fizz press the attack with Ignite counter pick that comes out here. But what I'd theorize is that like the 2v2 is absolutely disgusting, right? And if the threat of that Fizz is as apparent as Khan presumably thinks, then Croco is not going to be able to do his job as much, and stifling Croco is a really big part of making sure that Liiv Sandbox are not going to have a fun game.
Absolutely. You know, we're taking a look at some of the runes here. Obviously, the press the attack, but everything else that you may imagine, right? He's going to be looking for kills. Some, you know, the rest of the trees that we do have there. Also, a lot of sustain up in the top side with the corrupting pot and the biscuits and all that fun stuff. So he's, you You may have heard the car beeping outside. He's also extremely excited for this game. This is just, let's not watch the bottom lane. I want to watch the top lane, please. Jonah Strong, if we could get that camera situated in the top lane, that would be great. Maybe.
I'm thinking more and more about like what possibilities this brings, right? As a Showmaker is playing Syndra, so Fate's not gonna have a fun lane. Like also combinations with the attract and repel from Barrel, right? Where you're able to consistently dive into the enemy backline and then hit a big stun. But I do imagine this early laning phase is not going to be super fun. And it's been a while since we've seen top lane Fizz in the LCK.
I wish they also showed the just Fizz stats, because I think it was played in the mid lane. I think even like Faker played it. There was like this 1 week where... Okay, Khan not having a fun time up there. There was this 1 week where I swear like Faker played like Echo mid, and then he played Fizz mid, and... I don't remember exactly what year that was, maybe like 2018, but there was a fun time there for like a week or two, and I think it was played mid. But 1,400 days basically since we've seen it in the top lane, which again, top Fizz and mid Fizz can be played very differently. So keep that in mind. That's why we're showing that stat.
That's a really important back cancel that you find there, Showmaker, because it gives him so much more control. He used his own teleport. And now you kind of force Fate to go for the teleport as well. And I didn't expect this to be a good early game, as we see the gank on top.
Yeah, he's actually going to flash in for this one. Summit will have to respond with his own flash. And Canyon just getting in there. Note that he stays around for a long time, and he's even going to help push this lane. You mentioned the top lane not going to have too much fun in the early game. And so Canyon is there to help out.
So what I'm expecting is that with that flash forced, Khan, once he hits 6 and he gets the Chum the Waters available, is going to have an immense amount of 100 to 0 pressure on Mini now specifically. And I'm going to have to see how Khan plays out this lane, because my expectation, Canyon of course starting on bot side, pathing upwards, with the express purpose of relieving some pressure for Khan and punishing Summit. I want to see if Khan actually goes for that level 6 all-in, because if that is apparently the thing that, the Fizz does really well into Nard, then I want to see it. I want to see some action.
Yeah, it's what we need. I don't want to see him farming it out in the top lane. Yesterday we got top Karma. I think this is a great return to some interesting League of Legends. Top Karma against Sion, even. Thankfully, Sion was also banned. Effort is even roaming up to the mid lane here. Fate level 4, so of course no Emperor's Divide available. Just poking Showmaker out. Graco being annoying, getting in his face as well. But Canyon's right here. Let's see if... Okay, Graco is not going to stick around, so he will just back away. And again, try to gain some presence for Fate in the mid lane.
So what's interesting there is that we saw earlier the back cancel. Fate didn't choose to not teleport, or he chose not to teleport, meaning that it was actually a full wave behind Showmaker, who did invest his own teleport there. But the extra pressure from Crocker makes it a little bit better as they find the stun.
Yeah, getting in there onto Effort. They're going to force that flash away, traded for with the Ignite, so just a little mini engage there. Definitely good to get the flash away from Effort and even keep your Xayah safe for a bit.
And the more I think about it, the less I like this Nautilus pick for Effort, because one of the main things, because Nautilus has been nerfed repeatedly in terms of like his base stats and how tanky and how much he is, how much damage he does. One of the biggest survivability skills that he has gets completely negated by Rel's Q, right? So you can just easily break the shield, and then it's sad days, possibly also for Summit.
Beating him in here, and remember, no flash. Did he even use the hop? I think he already did. No, he's going to use that on the minions, but it does not matter.
Oh,
that is going to be the first blood given over to Khan, specifically, who of course has the Dark Seal, and is going to be building those stacks up.
Oh no, okay, so now you have a Fizz with first blood, a Summit without Summoner still, and he's just hit level 6. This wasn't just like the all-in, he still has the full all-in combo available to him, and he's going to back as well with an immense amount of gold. This room has been spotted, so Fate should be fine here, but so much attention being paid here. Liiv Sandbox do answer though with a great cross-map trade, pick themselves up that initial Ocean Drake. But I feel like this Fizz is going to warp this entire game, right? Whether or not it's going to work.
Yeah, the fact that they're just able to get this going, I mean, Summit, he bites the bait, you know? he's playing against the right champion for that as well, I guess. It is Fizz after all, and just chases him down.
And that's something that, especially at that point in the lane of Summit, you just can't afford to really do. If you have a full rage bar there, I'd be a little bit more amenable to you being that far up, but you don't have vision besides of what in the river where, you know, Canyon can still easily come in through the Tribe Rush. And I think he wanted to shove out the lane and try to maybe get it back in before Khan hit 6. And that's why he was a little bit greedy there. But now he's in much more dire straits as the Sheen gets picked up, and we still don't really know where Khan is going with this build.
Yeah, true. I saw the Dark Seal, and I'm like, well, that doesn't tell us anything. The shield comes in, the Sheen rather comes in. It's like, well, again, not really 100% sure. We're gonna have to wait, guys. And while we're waiting, we're taking a look at some of the stats here of the gold. Fizz currently with the most gold in the game, basically tied with Canyon, and while the Udyr has been farming it out better as he does, Canyon has been making this top lane just such an annoyance for Summit, and you can see how these trades are going now.
Rocco is here though, and I think makes a lot of sense considering the fact that Khan does want to go for that all-in, but he doesn't have Ignite available yet. Showmaker is also in the general vicinity and does have the Grand Starfall available, so if Khan doesn't go too aggressive here, he might still be fine, but that's the thing, right? Like, Khan's not gone all in when that Gnar bar is full, because why would you?
Exactly. It's... Okay, he's gonna face check, though. This is... you know, you can avoid the Gnar, and he's gonna try to get away here. He is gonna be knocked up against that wall. No stun comes in, but the flash comes out from the Udyr, and even though he is able to dash on through, he will still go down. And now Canyon getting baited in here. We got the teleport as well. Canyon will actually get a kill somehow onto Summit. Summit sticking around there, not expecting to actually die. So making the best of a bad situation, I suppose, for Canyon. But a 1 for 2 in favor of Liiv Sandbox. And that's going to be not half bad.
Interesting decision there. I thought Canyon was going to immediately use the ultimate, but I think that their assessment was, Khan, it's too late at this point, right? You don't have the survivability that you would normally have with Flash. Instead, you're more offensively oriented, and we're not going to use that cooldown, maybe looking for a cross-map play later on, but that does mean that when that kill comes down, I don't know why Canyon still tries to salvage the situation. Because it backfires, it gives over some free kills, and that does help Summit a lot in this matchup, because if the all-in potential is lost, right, then it becomes a lot harder to play this lane. And with Khan picking up the longsword, I think we're slowly to see where this build path is going.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about, you know, it's a pretty easy lane for Fizz to play out from here. You just avoid Mega Gnar, right? Well, instead of that, he face checks a brush that has Udyr in it. So you can do everything right, but when you do that, it doesn't go so well. So Canyon at least able to trade them back, showing some of the power of the execution from Pantheon. But we'll see how this lane changes from here, or if it does at all. I mean, Khan's still feeling pretty okay, but Summit does have his flash back.
I think Khan also played that really cute mechanically, you know, with the little sidestep on the boulder toss, but it doesn't really change the outcome of the equation. And the reason that we've been like so hammering on, because it's Fizz top, but also the rest of the map has given us literally nothing in terms of action. Canyon, you're on the ward, buddy.
Yeah.
Effort just
By the way,
hello, here you go, have this ward.
Barely going to clear out 2 wards here. That's a lot of value this early on in the game to clear both of those out. And it looks like Damwon just taking a pretty aggressive stance on the Rift Herald. And Liiv Sandbox don't want to back down from this. You see Effort trying to lead the charge here. But already the Rift Herald getting a bit low. We got a 5-on-4 as the Kaisa is in the mid lane, but can ultimate in. Liiv Sandbox looking for the engage, but DK pick up the objective. And will look to flash away, but in goes Barrel for the engage, and now we've got Pantheon coming over the wall, and Khan is surviving for a ridiculous amount of time. Root also gonna get isolated down on the south side of that fight. And Damwon just playing this one out better, and even Summit nearly getting clawed out there. If he didn't have Mega Gnar, he definitely would have died. But Canyon immediately gonna drop this down as Damwon look for even more.
And this might be immediately the back-breaking play, which you wouldn't think, but it's Damwon Kia, right? Because what did they get here? They get the positive trading kills. They get a Rift Herald and an immediate amount of planes. And I think they can also make a play for the Cloud Drake. It looks like that's not what they're going to do. But if you look at where the gold goes, it's not entirely optimal for DK. But I'm just shocked that Liiv Sandbox tried to fight that. I don't really think you have the power at that point in time, especially with Summit not having the Maganar available.
Yeah, we've seen teams do this in the LCK where it's like, do or die at the Rift Herald. If you don't get it, you lose the game. As Canyon might lose his life here. Down he goes. And I suppose that's a nice little pick. Liiv Sandbox will be able to convert this into the Cloud Drake here. That's their second Drake now for the team. So at least they are getting something on the map, but they're still about 2,500 gold down. So, you know, again, the decision around the Rift Herald to try to force that fight, a bit questionable. I'm sure we'll see the replay. We do love our replays here at the LCK.
So let's take another look here at the setup for this fight, right? Because from the get-go, we don't see the Kaiser there yet. Root is on his way. And then here, I think that they're trying to make them think that they're not going to go for the engage. With Beryl getting a Foreman Magnet Storm combined with all the damage that Damwon have available, make this basically immediately over. I think funneling in there when the objective is already gone as Liiv Sandbox is not something that you ever really have to do. Kenyon getting greedy here. This is the second time this game, and it's really interesting to see how Damwon Kia is playing this, because I feel like in terms of map movement and prioritization, they're doing really well. But simultaneously, like Kenyon dying twice now, we're still seeing some of, I would say, the rustiness, right, or the lack of form that has come to categorize this 2021 spring Damwon Kia thus far. Even though, let's be honest, they still had a 3k gold lead. Like, they're fine. They're not worrying about anything.
Yeah, they can make mistakes, but they still win, so there's that. Rel doing her thing. This is going to be the second time now as Root walks in the lane and dies. Does not have flash, no wards in the brush, assumes he's not there, and Beryl says, yep, welcome back to Rel's world once again. And not much resource there for Root. He didn't even have his ultimate. I mean,
no, that was
totally stomped.
Not really anything you can do there. And I'm really interested to see how DK is going to play this comp out, because it is a comp with an insane amount of damage, right? Like any 2v2, 3v3 combo is terrifying to play against. But the actual teamfight and skirmishing power, unless Beryl has flash available, at this point in the game, is going to be kind of rough. Later in the game, I don't think you're going to be happy taking straight on 5v5s, because even though thus far the game has not been going that well, Fate still has been able to pick up a kill, and we know the power of these big wombo combos, right? Like the Shurima shuffle into the wall stun from the Gnar. There's still a possibility there. As why are we watching this back?
Like I said, we love replays here at the LCK. We just
it's so sad.
There's a lot of downtime, so we gotta pull out all the replays that we got, and yeah, not really necessary to watch that one. I suppose we wanted to make the Root fans feel a little bit worse.
Yeah, or the Beryl fans a little bit better, right? Or the Rel fans. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Big fan of Rel. I was actually surprised that she fell into the second phase of picks. Like, you know, more and more we see this pick just dominate, and it just got totally ignored in the first half. Didn't even get banned by either team. And the onus is kind of on Liiv Sandbox to ban it, right? Because it's going to be first pick for R4 in the second phase, right? So
yeah,
if you're expecting the potential flex of the Pantheon, then you might have wanted to ban it.
Standing on a ward.
Not much action.
No, never mind. I was like, are they going to go for something? No, they're not going to go. And this is, this is also the beauty of the LCK. It gives you and me the time to get to know each other a little better. Mm-hmm. And if you're here for a lot of action, then actually that's the thing, though, right? With this comp, DK should be more than fine. They have an incredibly strong side laning comp, where both Showmaker and Khan are really hard to match. In case of Showmaker, I know. In case of Khan, I assume. I don't know why else you would pick Fist top. Like, I'm just gonna assume it demolishes the side lane once you hit your mythic. And then you have the power of Canyon, who can go to side lanes. You have Ghost, who's really good in a 1-3-1, right? Because you can't really dive the Xayah when he has a Summoners and Featherstorm available. So DK comps makes a lot of sense. As the Triforce does come in here, it is in fact, it's like the hybrid Fizz, right? Like that we used to see. Not tanky yet, but he might go that route.
Yeah, like what is the next step? You know, like Trinity Force again, it's like, okay, we have like one more piece of information, but it doesn't fill out the whole puzzle. And yeah, I mean, he bought a cloth armor, so we'll see where that one's going. We go a little bit more tanky off the back of that. And we haven't seen any big like Tom the Waters plays or any huge engages from the Fizz just yet. He just was able to survive in lane, had a lot of help from the Pantheon in the earlier stages of the game, and he's just kind of been cruising since then. You know, no huge pop-offs or anything like that. So you can see Krako is up here on the top side. The one thing that Fizz is great at is dodging a lot of these very obvious stuns and CCs that do come out from the Gnar. So I suppose maybe that's the idea.
He's really good now, but he's a little telegraphed. Unfortunately for Liiv Sandbox, they're not able to really be in a position where they can threaten this Drake. Because I think a possible win condition for them would be to get a really early sword point, and then if DK ever make a mistake, you're just immediately in really, really rough waters. You can, you know, bring up the water puns because Fizz is in the game for the first time in 1400 days. I think we're allowed to celebrate. But now instead, it acts as more of a deterrent, right? Like, DK is not going to approach Mountain Soul, so those first two Drakes for Liiv Sandbox are basically just you investing and then getting a lot of time down the line. Because I think that in a late game scenario, if you are able to find the hard engage with your Nautilus, or you find a big Shurima Shuffle, then there are still plenty of opportunities for Liiv Sandbox to come back in this game. This is not an insurmountable gold league, but I do feel that K is one really big play away, as it looks like that's a Glacial Shroud being picked up, and you know, Khan, you amaze me. I'm really happy we got him back. Like, that's just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, man. This is, if this becomes the norm, I'd be pretty happy just to have Fizz back and doing fun builds and stuff like that. Khan he's getting in there. 1v2, you know, he always has that ability to just hop onto his Trident and hop away from any danger. I'd imagine in a really long lane that he could potentially get run down by a Nudir or something like that. But for now, just taking a lot of beating, actually, trying to beat in the side of Liiv Sandbox. The teleport comes in immediately, and Canyon, again, is caught out in a really awkward spot. He is going to throw up his shield and has the Gore Drinker, but again, it's 1v4, not really doing anything, and this is one way for Liiv Sandbox to try to get some, you know, objectives back in the game. They pick up 2 of these turrets and even an extra bonus kill onto Canyon.
And something that really categorized Damwon Kia when they were at their height, right, when they were really on form, was that if you gave them a lead, they would just run away with it. But here what we see is that Khan, this is fine, but then the collapse coming out with limited vision available for Damwon Kia, and this is the second time I think that Canyon has gotten caught. Third time if you count one in the bot side jungle, but it just felt like a random overextension. I'm not loving what we're seeing here so far from DK. It feels like they're on very separate or very different channels and ideas in terms of communication, and giving away your gold lead with a composition like this is a quick way to repeat what happened against Fred at Brion, and I think DK wants to stay far away from that as they possibly can.
Yeah, you know, they were cleaner, certainly, at the end of last year, and that's why they became world champions. But yeah, it's spring. You know, it's like this is the season where we get to try fun stuff. We get to figure stuff out. We get
play
to
Fizz top,
relax a little bit. Yeah, you get to play Fizz top against Liiv Sandbox, and I don't mind it. You know, it would have been nice to see them just like never lose a game, but at the same time, I suppose we wouldn't have had the upset from Fred and Brion in that case. So positives and negatives for sure. And now we're just kind of grouping up in the mid lane. We were talking about potential side lane pressure from the Fizz. You know, how does this go exactly as the game comes along? Well, so far it doesn't look like he's that comfortable. You can see he's not really hanging in the lane. He doesn't want to get poked down by mini Gnar, so just having the lane be pushed into him for now and trying to farm it out.
So what's really interesting here is that, of course, with like the olden builds, you'd go for like the Frostfire Gauntlet was super popular at the time, Iceborne Gauntlet, right? For like these type of builds, also something that Tank Echo used with great efficiency. But that's a mythic now, right? Like, so, I mean, you wouldn't get Triforce and Iceborne at the same time, but Glacial Shroud, to my knowledge, is probably going to become a Frozen Heart, which has been buffed on this, or it's been buffed on 11.3 actually, so
yeah, it's 11.
maybe some preemptive gaming coming out here from DK. But for me, the main thing is, how are they actually going to play this out? Because this Gnar, or this Fizz rather, he's got a lot of attention, right? Like, Canyon has basically spent the entire first half of the map whenever he was making a play on top side. A lot of these plays have backfired. He has tried to really get Khan ahead. Khan did actually get ahead, picked up that first blood. And thus far, the actual capitalization or a conversion of that lead into something useful for Damwon has been kind of lackluster. So I'm wondering if maybe there's a certain item breakpoint that Khan needs to hit, and then that side lane becomes a lot stronger. Maybe it's about getting ahead, and that just didn't really come to fruition. There's a lot of reasons for why it's not really coming together. But now you're going to be trying to team fight as Damwon Kia, and you're able to, but I don't think it's really where your strength lie with this composition.
Yeah, it does feel that way, and we'll see how this one does pan out. I mean, Damwon Kia still do have a 2,000 gold lead, but as the game comes along, I mean, your 2,000 gold lead becomes less and less relevant and oppressive, I suppose you could say. So we'll see how this one pans out. You know, there are some defensive items on the side of Damwon Kia, but I do like the Mountain Soul a bit better in terms of effectiveness for Liiv Sandbox, but they got to get them first. We'll see if they can even get one, as Khan is going to be spotted down on the bottom side. Hops over the wall, and we got Effort nearby. Khan actually spots Effort in the brush. They will be looking to collapse onto him as Jump the Waters will come out, and the flash is not going to, finally comes out over the wall, but the damage is there from Canyon, and immediately the support is down, but now Showmaker in an awkward spot is going to get queued. In goes Fate looking for it, but he immediately gets burst down. Not able to do that damage, as now in goes Canyon, decides, I'd like to engage, gets popped, but he's going to open up this engage for his team, so nice little sacrifice for him. And Khan is pretty difficult, actually, for Root to take down right now. You can see that a lot of that armor stack is looking pretty good, even though he does go down in the end. Getting that kill onto the Kai'Sa is going to be pretty nice.
And this is a really, really key fight here for Damwon Kia that they had to take. Because against that composition, a Mountain Drake is actually a really big problem. So let's take a look at the positioning here, because as you say, spotting Effort completely foils every plan that Liiv Sandbox might have otherwise had. Effort has to use everything that he gets just to try and stay and survive. And the repositioning here from Damwon Kia into that choke point is beautiful, because it makes it so much harder by the time that the Feather Storm times out. The Shurima Shuffle doesn't really have any added value, and because you can't funnel into the choke point as Liiv Sandbox, Root can't get as much damage out as he otherwise would have liked to.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll see down, you know, even in the brush, he's going to WQ there, and he finally takes out Khan, but it wasn't an easy task, and the Frozen Heart is complete now, and it's more tankiness on the side of Khan for this Fizz. As Beryl, he is just running forward with that chem tank. He is not messing around, and gaining a lot of respect now from the side of Liiv Sandbox. Another Mountain Drake here for Damwon Kia, and this Fizz is becoming more and more of a thick boy, even though he doesn't look like it in his model. But that's the way it'll be, with the Mountain Drake stacking up and the tanky items being built up here for this champion. And there hasn't been too much action outside of looking for these objective fights. We've had a couple of big objective fights, obviously, but other than that, it's kind of like Canyon getting caught out, looking for, you know, maybe too optimistic of engages and side lanes and stuff like that, and just waiting for some of these objectives. And Damwon Kia seemed fine to do that.
And the interesting thing to me is that outside of like itemization choices, one of the reasons why Fizz and Echo with more bruisery tanky builds were popular was because of their sticking power, right? And you can see that in the last team fight as well. Like, once Khan gets on top of Root, Root just has to respect him. But again, that does mean that Damwon Kia are going for these straight up team fights. And I feel like that can backfire, right? Like, they're fine up until now. They're very secure in how they execute it, as we might get an engage from Beryl here.
He's going in. He's not messing around, as he will get on top of Effort. Effort is just running away the entire time. And you see Canyon gets in that front line, throws up a shield so nobody can retaliate with any kind of damage. And now with effort down once again, kind of highlights, you know, this Nautilus pick not doing much, and Damwon really taking advantage of him so far in this game. As now a 5-on-4 around the Drake. They're looking for the turn here onto the Udyr. The gameplay button going to be hit there from the Syndra, and that is a couple of kills that do come out as Ghost gets one, Khan gets one, and now there is really no way for Liiv Sandbox to try to stop this Baron take from going down.
Barrel's Rel is so insanely good because that fight can get very, very awkward if they don't find the immediate blow up, right? If they can kite back and you're forced into that choke point, Fate can find a big Emperor's Divide, then it can easily go wrong. And Beryl starts off this entire fight, and he's really the big instigator of all these plays. And Canyon has just been like dive bombing every single time, right? He's just, I want to engage. Doesn't matter what happens. And here, again, take a look. That Hex Flash comes over the wall, and Beryl immediately locks down two members of Liiv Sandbox, making it impossible for Root and Fate to really get anything done there.
Yeah, the turn is just so clean, and Liiv Sandbox kind of just funneling in there, trying to get some kind of engage going, and it hurts when you never seem to have a Nautilus, too. You know, he just keeps kind of getting caught out, and he's not really the one engaging. We don't see big dredge lines or anything like that. As more burst damage comes out from Showmaker, they're going to respect the Mega Gnar for now. But with Baron buff, this push is going to be pretty strong from the side of DK as they look for this mid-inner turret.
And the continuous pressure here from DK turns out to actually be too much. And the gold lead I was talking about earlier has now gotten to the point where I feel like the item breakpoints getting hit are basically insurmountable, right? Canyon on the strongest 2-item power spike that I think you can find in 11.2. They're taking down all the turrets, they're taking down all the objectives, and starting to feel like Liiv Sandbox, they've now completely lost control of this game outside of like insane wombo combos, while Khan is just, he doesn't care.
Yeah. You mentioned sticking power, but also the ability to go in and out and side to side. You know, it's really hard to lock down the Fizz ever, and he's showcasing that a little bit. He can poke you under turret, hop away, and there's really not much you can do. There's you know, unless you're gonna dive on in there. But as it stands now, with Baron minions barreling down the mid lane and the bottom lane a bit here, Khan going to return here for the 4-1, and Damwon are just looking for inhibitors. They're looking for as much base breaking as possible. As now they're going to try to turn onto the Fizz here. Khan looking for the kill onto Summit, but 4v1 might be a little bit too much for the Fizz to handle. Damwon Kia will pick up the one inhibitor, but Khan will be caught out.
And another trap hit up. Yeah.
This Nautilus, though, just not able to get any value at all. Beryl gets another fantastic engage. Coming in from behind his Summit. He's really barreling down here. Beryl's like, are you kidding me? You can't kill me. He's trying desperately, and he finally will. Actually, that was the Azir, but they're going to pay for it. And there's really not much that Liiv Sandbox can do. Pretty desperate, trying to get on in there, but I think maybe they just ended the game on themselves now. The flash in is cute. A nice little shutdown there. But it looks like Canyon and Showmaker, the duo, will look to push in and break another inhibitor.
And I think that if Khan, in that initial fight where he got caught, would have actually hit his Chum the Waters, he might have even gotten the return kill there on Summit. I'm loving this Fizz. He's got Wit's End as well. He's an absolute maniac. I'm all here for it. Khan just having fun. And like I said, I think the problem with this is I don't think the Fizz was, you know, like a mind-blowing hard counter. But if this is something that Damwon is going to keep doing, it's something that you need to take into account. And here again, like, I think he kills him here if he hits this Chum the Waters, right? Like, he barely misses it point blank. But look at Summit's health. Like,
oh, absolutely. He was going to die.
This is so sad. Because as efforts, like, this looks really bad, but he's the one who face checks, right? Like, it's either him or Crocodile. Crocodile is nowhere near. And you have no vision. You need to do something. I think if you just back off that and not try to maybe find DK in an open position, you're also going to unceremoniously lose. So this is the point of the game, right? Where we see players just try desperate things and then it looks silly, but if you're not making desperate plays, this game is not going to get better.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's the Mountain Drake available, and if you're giving that many Mountain Drakes to Damwon for free, you're probably going to lose anyway. So just get desperate, look for risky plays. You might as well, because it's either you lose by them getting 4 Mountain Drake Mountain Soul, or you lose in a couple of team fights like we just saw. So,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, you know, you don't have too many choices here, that's for sure, if you are Liiv Sandbox. And Khan just gets stronger and stronger. He's going to pick up that Kindle Gem, and little 4-1 push coming on here once again. You see Liiv Sandbox just trying to clear it out as much as possible. They have some decent wave clear with Kai'Sa Azir, of course, and you know, you mentioned like crazy wombo combos and some nice late game carries, but we really have not seen anything of that sort here from Liiv Sandbox.
It gets harder and harder as well, right? Showmaker is a Banshee, so they might go in for the final part of the game.
No, not again, Effort. Not like this. Oh no. They're bullying him. That's not.
Stop bullying Effort, guys. He's already on Nautilus. He can't do anything.
It's big time Pepe hands for sure.
Yeah.
Khan is actually being shot, you know, he's being chipped away at there on the top side, but Ghost now, as a late game Xayah, is just making you feel the pain. And we see Summit actually pulling those minions out of position. They're just trying to hunt him down. I feel like Damwon here, like, they're almost having fun at this point. They're like, yeah, sure, let's hunt the Gnar through our jungle for like 5 minutes. Why not? We might as well.
I actually thought someone was gonna like run back into their vision, like, please guys, follow me. Don't mind the Baron timer. Haha. Come on, get the Gnar, get the Yordle. But it didn't. And now Croco is gonna have the same fate that Effort had earlier.
Well,
never mind.
He's Udyr, so at least he can run away, whereas the Nautilus can't, as we've seen.
Yeah, but he hasn't really gotten that much more done yet. I really thank you so much, observers, for continuously pointing out the Gnar, or the Fizz rather. We're all delighted. I'm sure everyone watching at home as well is just like, wait, what did I just tune into? Why is Khan playing Ignite, press the attack Fizz? What happened? This is not my LCK.
Well,
where is Aatrox?
Yeah, where's Scion? Where's Scion Karma?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do. Again, it looks so bad, but you should just not try to fight besides your Nexus turrets, and then even your Nexus turrets are looking really rough. And Effort just keeps getting caught out again and again and again. And it's just not a good look for Liiv Sandbox as a whole with Damwon Kia. As you said, very rightly pointed out, Valdez, I think they're having a lot of fun. I think they're enjoying themselves.
They're giving the fans what they want, right? I wonder how Atlas feels casting Scion Karma yesterday, and then the first game here on Friday is, of course, top Fizz, because that's just the way things go.
Naturally.
You know, well, they have a thing in Korea called Bruggen, which is literally just Fire Friday, and kind of feels like that. We're starting off with that here, at least in game 1, with some fun picks. And we see Effort, he's desperately trying to get something going underneath the Nexus turrets. As you mentioned, this is where you gotta fight. The Kai'Sa is gonna go in and try to fight a front to back here, but he has to stopwatch, so that's gonna put an end to that fun, as he will be taken out, not able to get a kill for himself. All 5 members of Damwon Kia will survive, and they will look to take down these Nexus turrets. This is all that Cannon's been doing all game long. You know, he has some ganks up on the top side. He's not really doing anything else, as Ghost actually flashed into the pit just to die at the end of the day. That's going to be game 1. 35 minutes, Damwon Kia eventually do it.